The smell hits you before the door is fully open. Not the smell people imagine when you tell them what you do. Not something from a horror film. Just the smell of a room that has been sealed for 11 days in August heat. Stale air, old cooking oil, the particular sourness of milk left on a counter. The window unit air conditioner is still running. It has been running for 11 days, cycling recycled air through a space that no longer needs cooling. The electricity bill will be paid from the estate. That is someone else's paperwork. You step inside. The apartment is a 1K in Adachi Ward, 6th floor, facing north. 31 square meters. Monthly rent, 67,000 yen. Which you know because it is in the file. You know a great deal about people before you meet their rooms. You know their age, their contract status, their next of kin. Or in most cases, the blank field where next of kin would go. What you don't know, and what the file never tells you, is how they arranged their furniture. What they chose to put on the wall, whether they kept the curtains open or closed. This one kept them open. The light comes in gray and flat through unwashed glass. On the windowsill, a single succulent in a terracotta pot, still alive. Plants in these rooms are always harder than the rest of it. Everything else has already completed its process. The plant is still mid-sentence. You set your kit down by the door and put on your first pair of gloves. Blue nitrile, size M. Yours are always blue. Reiko's were always green. This is something you know about yourself, only because of her. You made a choice. The choice was deliberate. The reason for it lives in a layer of yourself you don't press on. You begin the way she taught you. Counterclockwise, from the entrance. Not because counterclockwise is correct in any technical sense. A room tells its story in a direction. You have to decide which direction before you walk into it. Counterclockwise means you see the bed last. The bed is almost always where it happened. Seeing it last means you've already understood the room before you have to stand there. The kitchen comes first. A rice cooker on the counter, still plugged in. The keep warm light, still glowing orange after 11 days. Inside, a small amount of hardened rice. Maybe one serving. This is the detail that gets you every time. Not the larger facts. Not the date on the milk. Not the calendar on the wall with nothing written after the 14th. The rice cooker. Because cooking rice is an act of intention. Someone made a decision, measured the water, pressed the button, and then something happened between that decision and eating. You unplug it. On the table, a single pair of chopsticks. Still in their paper sleeve. The newspaper from August 14th, folded to the crossword. 3 clues filled in. Number 7 across. Completed. Number 12 across. Abandoned mid-letter. The pen resting in the gutter of the page exactly where it was set down. You have been doing this work for 3 years. Before that, you did something in logistics. When people ask, you describe it as shipping coordination. It is accurate enough to be true and vague enough to end the conversation. You found this job through a government employment site at 2 a.m. It was a night when the quiet of your own apartment had reached a pressure you couldn't sit inside anymore. The listing said, Special cleaning technician. Requires high tolerance for independent work. Strong attention to detail. Emotional resilience preferred. You applied because of the phrase. Emotional resilience preferred. Not required. Preferred. It suggested that the people writing the listing understood the difference between having something and working toward it. Reiko was the one who interviewed you. She was 67 at the time. Small. The kind of small that accumulates over decades rather than arriving at birth. As if a life of particular effort had compressed her incrementally. Hair cut short and going fully silver. She wore green gloves to the interview. She did not remove them. She did not explain them. She asked you 3 questions. Had you ever worked alone for extended periods? Could you tolerate the smell of enclosed spaces? And did you believe that a person's room could tell you something true about them that their face never would? You said yes to all 3. She said. The third one is the one that matters. Anyone can tolerate a smell. Not everyone can read a room. She hired you that afternoon. She told you to be at an address in Nerima the following Tuesday at 7 a.m. She did not tell you what to bring. She did not tell you what to expect. She said, bring whatever you would bring if you were going somewhere important, and didn't know what kind of important it would be. You brought a notebook. She brought everything else. The bathroom. You do the bathroom second. Always. Not last. Last gives it too much weight, as though the bathroom is the point of the whole exercise. And it isn't. It's a room. Every room in the apartment is a room. You treat them equivalently, even when equivalence requires something from you. 11 days in August. The work here is methodical and specific. You do not narrate it to yourself while you do it. This is also something Reiko taught you, she said. Narrating is a way of being a witness instead of a worker. You can do one or the other, not both at the same time. You understood what she meant on your fourth job. You found yourself constructing sentences in your head. The woman who lived here had a blue toothbrush and no second one. Then you heard Reiko's voice and you stopped. You put the observation down the way you put down a tool when you're not using it. You kept working. In the bathroom, a shelf above the mirror. Shampoo, conditioner, face wash, a tube of something for joint pain. 67 years old. The joint pain tube is 2/3 empty. She had been here a while. These things are used up slowly. She had been here long enough to use most of it. You note the dimensions on your form. Bathroom, 2.1 square meters. Standard urban configuration. This is the smallest room, and it takes the longest. That is simply a fact about the work, and not a reflection on anything. When you are done, you remove the outer layer of gloves. You replace them with a fresh pair, and move to the main living area. The first time Reiko took you into a room, she didn't say anything for 6 minutes. You counted, because counting was the only thing to do. She moved through the apartment, a studio in Itabashi. The former tenant was an 81-year-old man. He was found by a postal worker who noticed 3 weeks of uncollected mail. She simply looked, not at anything specific, at the room. The way you look at a face before deciding how to begin a conversation. After 6 minutes, she said. He was left-handed. The lamp is on the left side of the bed. The pen marks on the notepad go right to left in the margin. He ate dinner at the table, but breakfast in bed. The crumb pattern is different in each location. He kept the curtains closed in the morning and open at night. This is unusual, and worth noting. You asked why it was worth noting, she said. Because unusual is not the same as wrong. He made a choice. He had a reason. We don't know the reason, and we won't. But we know he made the choice every morning for however long he lived here. That's real. That's a life. She moved to the kitchen, she said, without turning around. The note-taking is for you, not for the file. The file wants square meters and disposal categories. The note-taking is so you don't confuse this work with erasing someone. You are not erasing anyone. You are closing a room. The difference matters. You wrote that down in your notebook. You still have the notebook. The first entry is that sentence, underlined. Slightly crooked because you were standing when you wrote it. The living area of the Adachi apartment contains 1 low table, 1 zabuton cushion, and 1 small television mounted on the wall. 1 bookshelf with 22 books, all non-fiction. History, natural science. 1 volume on the mathematics of origami. A framed photograph on the shelf. A man and a woman, outdoors, perhaps in their 40s, squinting against afternoon sun. The woman is not the tenant. The relationship is not in the file. On the wall beside the bookshelf, 12 pieces of origami, pinned carefully. A crane, a rabbit, a lily, a box. Shapes you recognize and shapes you don't. The paper is varied. Plain white, patterned. 1 made from what appears to be a page of printed text. The figures are precise. Someone folded these with patience over a long period of time. The pins are evenly spaced. This was not casual decoration. This was arrangement. You photograph everything before you touch it. This is procedure, but it is also something Reiko insisted on, beyond procedure. She said, photograph it because this is the last time it will look like this. The arrangement matters. Someone decided where everything went. You photograph the origami wall. 12 pieces. The one in the center is a bird, mid-flight, wings spread. It is made from paper that is slightly different from the rest, thicker, more textured. It takes you a moment to recognize it. The paper is a letter. Someone folded a letter into a bird. You do not unfold it. You move to the bookshelf. You begin the cataloging process. 22 books. Condition noted. Disposition, pending estate review. Most will be donated. Some will be discarded. The mathematics of origami will probably be discarded. Specialized books travel badly through the donation system. You have learned not to feel things about this. And you don't, most days. Behind the bookshelf. Partially visible. A single green rubber glove. The left hand only. Just one. You stop. Your hand hovers. The glove is small, size M. The color is a specific green. Not the generic green of utility gloves from a hardware store. It is the slightly faded green of Japanese industrial work gloves. The kind sold at a particular supply company near Ueno. That company closed 4 years ago. Reiko used to order their stock in bulk. She said no other glove held its shape after extended wear the way those did. You know the color because you have seen it every working day for 3 years. You know the size because you have handed boxes of them across a supply table. You leave the glove where it is. You finish the bookshelf. You catalog the television. You note the origami wall. You do not touch the glove. You do not open the tote bag you haven't yet reached. Reiko had a rule about the last closed container in any room. Don't open it first, she said on your second job together. It was a 2-bedroom in Koenji. The tenant had been a retired schoolteacher, 74 years old. Animal Services had already collected her 3 cats. Open it last. By then you will understand the room. And you will understand what the container means. If you open it first, you are guessing. Guessing is for people who don't have time to learn. You asked, what if there's nothing significant in it? She said. Then nothing significant is also an answer. An empty drawer tells you something about a person. A locked box tells you something different. A container left open, contents visible, tells you the person stopped caring about what others would find. Read the container in context. Context requires time. You followed this rule on 47 jobs over 3 years. You have never opened the last closed container first. You are not going to start today. You move to the closet. The closet contains clothing organized by season. Winter things in clear bags on the upper shelf. Summer things below on hangers. Shoes on the floor, 4 pairs. All in good condition, all cleaned. This is the closet of someone who respected their possessions without being precious about them. Everything is used, nothing is unused. On the interior wall of the closet, a small hook, hanging from it. A single green glove. Right hand. Both gloves are here. One behind the bookshelf, one inside the closet. Separated. This is not a coincidence. Nothing in a room like this is a coincidence. You stop cataloging. You stand in the closet doorway and look at the room again from this angle. The zabuton on the floor. The origami wall. The right-hand glove inside the closet where it belongs. The left-hand glove behind the bookshelf. Visible from where the zabuton sits, if you were sitting and looking at that exact angle. Your hands are cold inside your blue gloves. The air conditioner is still running. The succulent on the windowsill is still alive. And you are not yet at the final closed container. The final closed container is a small wooden box on the kitchen counter. You registered it when you first came through, but did not open it. 12 centimeters by 8. Lacquered, dark. Not locked. You go to it now. Inside the box, a folded piece of paper, and beneath it, a business card. The business card first. It is your company's card, the one given to clients during intake. On the back, in small handwriting, for whomever comes. The paper. You unfold it. The handwriting is precise and economical. It is the handwriting of someone for whom written Japanese was a tool that deserved calibration. It says, "My name is Yamada Reiko. I worked at this company from 2009 to 2021. I trained 11 people in this work. I am sorry I could not train them all better. The room has been documented in advance. Dimensions are accurate. Disposal categories are pre-noted on the secondary form in the folder by the door. You have not opened it yet, but should. The origami bird in the center of the wall is folded from a letter I wrote and never sent. You do not need to read it. The left glove is behind the bookshelf because I dropped it there sometime in the past month. I could not comfortably reach it after my hip began failing. This is not a message. It is simply where the glove landed. Please recycle both gloves together." The succulent on the windowsill is called a Haworthia. It survives low light and requires watering approximately once every 3 weeks. I would be grateful if someone kept it. In the folder by the door, which I marked as the last thing to open, you will find a secondary form. I completed it myself. This is unorthodox, but permitted under company policy. It is permitted if the tenant is a former employee and the paperwork is completed in advance, which it is. You will also find a note I wrote for whoever is reading this, which you are. I have been thinking about what to say for longer than the note suggests. The work is not erasing. I know you know this. I taught it to whoever taught it to you, or I taught it to you directly. If you are one of mine, I am sorry for the inconvenience of this. I am not sorry for choosing it. Someone who understands this room should be the one to close it. I did not want a stranger here. If you are not one of mine, welcome. The room will explain itself if you give it time. They always do. Y.R.P.S. The rice in the cooker is from August 14th. I made too much. I usually did. You read the note twice. Then you fold it back along its original lines. They are sharp and deliberate. The fold of a person who folded things precisely. You put it in the pocket of your work jacket. It sits against your sternum for the rest of the afternoon. You open the folder by the door. The secondary form is there, exactly as described, completed in the same small handwriting. Disposal categories, dimensions, inventory notes. All pre-filled with a neatness that belongs to someone who has done this work for 12 years. Someone who knows exactly what the form needs. At the bottom of the page, in the field marked Additional Notes, a single line. Haworthia on windowsill. Please rehome if possible. Below the form, the note she mentioned. It is 2 pages. You will not read it here. You close the folder. There is a question you have been carrying since you read the name. You have been carrying it quietly, the way you carry the other things in this work. Neither toward you nor away. Just present, acknowledged, moving alongside you as you move through the room. The question is, did she do this to you or for you? You know what she would say. You can hear the cadence of it clearly. As if she were standing in this kitchen, wearing green gloves and watching you work. Those are the same question asked in different directions. The direction is yours to choose. She had no family. This is not in the file, but you know it. She mentioned it once, on a job in Shimokitazawa. A Tuesday in November. An apartment where the deceased had left behind 40 years of meticulously organized receipts. While you worked, she told you that the receipts were the saddest kind of order. The order of someone who needed the past to be legible because the present kept slipping. She said she had spent a long time understanding that tendency in others. It was a tendency she had needed to outgrow in herself. You asked why she needed to outgrow it. She said, because I spent 8 years after my brother died trying to make sense of his room. Not to clean it. To understand it. My mother could not enter it. My father went in once and did not go back. I was the one who sat on the floor of that room for 8 years. I learned what a person's possessions say about their absence. She did not say anything else for a long time. You worked. The receipts went into a single archive box, which you labeled Financial Documents Estate in the standard format. Then she said, he was alone for 9 days before anyone found him. The room had not been prepared. No one knew what to prepare for. I did not know how to help him, and then it was too late to help him. And so I learned how to help the room. It was the thing I could still do. She said a phrase that means because someone has to. And now, you are the someone. The folder by the door also contains something else. You discover this when you look through it a second time, more carefully. A small folded paper, the size of a business card, tucked into the inside pocket. You know this paper. Not this one specifically, but this paper. This fold. Reiko left a folded paper in every room she cleaned. You watched her do it on your second job, your 5th, your 12th. A small square, placed in the corner of a drawer or a shelf. Always somewhere that required a person to open something and look. You asked about it on your 3rd job, she said. The person who lived here deserves to be named in the room they lived in. Just once. Just in one place. By someone who came after and chose to say, I know you were here. You asked what she wrote on the papers. She said, the name. And one thing about the room that tells me something true about the person. One specific thing. You asked if she ever went back and read them. She said, no, it's not for me to read. It's for the room. You unfolded the paper now. It says, Yamada Reiko. She folded letters into birds instead of sending them. She trained other people to do the work she could not let go of. And she prepared her own room so that whoever came would know what to do. She was ready. She wrote her own. Of course she did. She knew. She had known for some time. The hip. The progressive accumulation of small failures the body presents in its final years. The way a room begins to show the signs of someone managing rather than living. She knew, and she prepared. She left the note. She put your company's card in the box, with the instruction for whomever comes. She filed the secondary form in advance. She did not want whoever came to stand in this room without information. The way she had stood in her brother's room without information, 26 years old, and not knowing how to begin. She gave you what no one gave her, whether that is love, or whether that is something more complicated than love. Something that uses another person's grief as its raw material, shapes it into a lesson, and leaves it as an inheritance, without asking whether the recipient wanted it. This is the question you are going to carry out of this room, and into every room after it, for a long time, possibly always. You finish the work. The origami wall, photographed, documented, carefully removed piece by piece. Each figure wrapped in tissue. Estate review will determine disposition, but you note in the file. 12 origami figures, handmade, careful workmanship, possible sentimental value. The bird made from a letter goes in last, separately wrapped. You do not unfold it. She said you didn't need to. She was right about most things. The bookshelf. 22 volumes, catalogued, boxed for donation. The mathematics of origami you set aside. You put it in your bag. This is not procedure. You will figure out what procedure says about it later. The succulent. You carry it to the window and hold it in the light for a moment. Looking at it the way Reiko looked at a room before beginning, then you put it in a small cardboard box, cushioned with paper. You will take it with you. The Haworthia survives low light and requires water every 3 weeks. You have a window that faces east. You have managed to keep one plant alive in that window for 8 months, which is longer than you have managed most things. The kitchen. Cleared, cleaned, surfaces sanitized, rice cooker emptied and unplugged. A single pair of chopsticks still in their paper sleeve, which you add to the disposal bag. The newspaper from August 14th, crossword unfinished at number 12 across. You write the answer in the margin. The clue is a season that arrives before you're ready. The answer is autumn. You write it small and neatly, and put the newspaper in the disposal pile. You don't explain to yourself why you wrote it, and you don't need to. The bathroom. Complete. The closet. Complete. The gloves. You go behind the bookshelf and retrieve the left glove. You go to the closet and retrieve the right glove. You bring them to the kitchen counter and set them down. Both hands. Size M. The specific green of a supply company near Ueno that closed 4 years ago. You hold them for a moment. They are worn but intact. The kind of condition that comes from careful maintenance rather than light use. She used these for 12 years of this work. They have been inside rooms like this one, dozens, 100, standing in the specific air of a life completed without an audience. They know what you know. They have learned what you have learned. You fold them together, left glove nested inside right. The way she always folded them. You place them on the counter, centered. The way a person places something they intend for someone to find. Then you take them, because they are going into recycling. And that is the correct thing to do with worn nitrile gloves. You put them in the disposal bag. You pick up your kit. You pick up the cardboard box with the succulent. You pick up the bag with the mathematics of origami tucked inside it. You go to the door. You open the form on your clipboard to the final field. Status. You write the word that means complete, finished, done. It is the word she taught you to write. The word she wrote on every form for 12 years. The last thing in every file. The line that closes the record and releases the room back into the building's inventory, ready to be rekeyed and relisted, filled again with someone else's succulent and someone else's crossword, someone else's arrangement of everything they owned. You close the door. You stand in the hallway for a moment. The hallway smells like old carpet and someone else's cooking. The ordinary smell of a building that is still in use, still operational. Full of people pressing start on their rice cookers and folding things, choosing whether to keep the curtains open or closed. The air conditioner inside the apartment is still running. You forgot to turn it off. You should go back. You don't go back. You take the elevator down. You walk out into the August heat. It hits you the way August in Tokyo always does. Total and immediate. The city at full volume after the sealed quiet of the room, traffic and cicadas, and a train passing somewhere above. The full weight of 14 million people going about the business of being alive. You stand on the sidewalk. The succulent is in its box, under your arm. The fold of the note is in your jacket pocket, against your sternum, where it has been for the past 2 hours. You do not know, standing here, whether what she did was cruel. You don't know if it was kind. You know that she thought about it for longer than the note suggests. She said so herself, in that precise, economical handwriting. She made her choice with the same deliberateness with which she made every choice. The counterclockwise direction. The last closed container. The single folded paper left for the room. She gave you a room you already knew how to read. Whether that was a gift, or whether it was something she needed to be true, and made true regardless. You are not going to answer that today. The question is a room. You will need to give it time. The August light is flat and hot, and the shadows are short. Somewhere in the city, a phone is ringing in an empty apartment. Somewhere, a rice cooker is keeping something warm that no one is coming back for. Somewhere. 11 people trained by a woman in green gloves are closing rooms, writing complete in small fields at the bottom of forms, carrying the work forward into buildings they will never live in, on behalf of people they will know only through the direction their furniture faces, and the books they kept, and the things they chose to fold rather than send. You walk to the station. The succulent needs water in approximately 3 weeks. You have time. This story is fiction, but Kodawari, the phenomenon of people dying alone and undiscovered in Japan, is real. An estimated 68,000 people die alone annually in Tokyo alone, many undiscovered for days or weeks. Special cleaning companies and the people who work in them are real. The work of preparing a room so that whoever comes knows what they are doing, and that too is something people do.